Welcome back to the big issue discussing the GetFund audit by the Auditor General. So Honorable Aban is here, Franklin is here, and Sydney is here. Franklin, this week was your birthday, right?
Wasn't it the week before?
The week before. I saw a photo of you. Somebody put up a photo of you in a red shirt and a red hat. Okay, we will deal with this matter after. Sydney is buying after we are done.
He's buying what?
Whatever it is we are getting, Sydney is buying.
Bring enhanced, what's it called, bullfruit.
All right, don't worry. Franklin, I'll come to you then. We will discuss your bullfruit and
Enhanced
things
bullfruit.
after. Honorable Abba, what have you made of the situation?
Thank you. In fact, I'm going to give some little background to this act, the GetFund Act. Okay. I don't know how many of you heard of the mobile struggle.
We all did.
Good.
We were part of it.
The GetFund Act, actually came as a response to that. And I remember very well at that time I was on campus, and Dr. Ekos Progara was the education minister.
Yeah.
The initial discussions and all that for this fund to come started in Legon. Right? Mm-hmm. And if you look at it from that point, it was to deal with poor but brilliant students. Okay. Because that was when they had introduced academic and facility user fees and all that. Okay? And it had become unbearable to us as students. And so, after that, this came. Now, we see names. Okay, I mean, for me, I must be very frank with everybody. Certain personalities should not have even become beneficiaries. Sometimes we lead very poor people. They bring applications. We go and beg. They don't get it. And so, for me to see certain names of personalities who ordinarily should be able to get it, should be able to pay for their own academic pursuit and all that, I think we're not thinking Ghanaian. We're being selfish. I'm being honest with you, right? Regardless of whether the people who were in it were NDC or were MPP. Yeah. I think that those of us, wherever we have got to, God willing, we should be able to do some work. Somebody just needs even some few thousands of Ghana cedis to be able to even get a first degree. They don't. And then some others will go and get this huge amount of money to go and enhance themselves, okay, for things that we may not immediately even need. Sometimes even for their own self-actualization. When somebody needs it to be able to just shoot up from some poor family, right? If I look at it as against my own past, I feel sad that we become so selfish just because of we are in positions of influence and we think we can go and speak to some other person and get these things. So those who are administering the fund, they should actually do proper means assessment of people who make the application so that it gets to the right place. That's why I gave the background to the enactment of this act. That's all that I will say.
Oh, okay. Franklin, that was quick. I like
brevity.
Well, a lot has been said, really, and good morning to your viewers and listeners. A lot has been said about this matter. Scholarships are established for needy but brilliant students. I mean, in some far-seeing countries, there are people who actually invest in what's this called? Endowment, right? And so you expect that the private sector usually would want to invest, or alumni would want to do this. But this has been set up by appropriating rents, taxes from everybody, and then housed at the presidency. It's been there forever, the Scholarship Secretariat. It's one of those odious entities that actually do nothing except to appropriate rents from everybody and then share the money in such a way that the results are what we are seeing right now. It beggars belief, really, to think that the beneficiaries of an otherwise sensible idea have been has just been disregarded. I mean, I'm trying to find the words.
That's why
because you see, because you see, it's beginning to look as if sometimes we just don't care. And it has nothing to do with a particular administration. It's been like this since the creation of these funds. In fact, the whole idea behind scholarship funds is supposed to encourage. In fact, it will interest you to know that the scholarship funds that were created actually happened. I mean, I'm just trying to say that we have either used policies. We've either used policies to destroy the scholarship fund, or use political high-handedness to actually destroy it as well. I don't want to talk about fee-free paying students, because that is also one of the reasons why the Scholarship Secretariat seems to have taken this nosedive. But that's another debate for another day. Just to say, it is not fair, because you go around this country and you still have significant needs that you go to certain schools. I told you the last time my own school. Our alumni could help, but they are saying critical needs. These sums that were expended on executive education programs at Harvard, and you're looking at almost $35,000, right? Could cater for teachers in Lulubi St. Mary's Seminary for the next 3 years, at least 16 teachers that are critically needed as we speak. Because how much do they get paid? 1,000 cedis a month. But the teachers are in there anyway. And so we are all trying to mobilize, and that's what good alumni should do. But I'm just saying, while we are doing that, and the state is asking us to get up our loins and do so, we shouldn't be seeing this humongous expenditure at the expense of people's own personal enhancement, as has been said. It's not fair. It's just not fair. That's all I've got to say.
Sydney, before I come round to asking what kind of opportunity this presents us with regards to reform, perhaps, if there is a problem, if there isn't, to make headway. Sydney.
So are we discussing the Auditor General's approach, his report, or the scholarships issue?
Depends on where you want to take it from. Which one do you want to?
But it's good, because you see, he's asking a very important question, because now we are discussing the approach or the process
Of the Auditor General? No.
Oh, we are not. That's what you are preventing.
No, that was the lawyer Paul was the one who had asked questions about the procedure.
The procedure.
Yes, which I tried to explain to him. I think we should just focus on the outcomes.
Yeah, but it's also fair, though, to make the point,
Yes.
Sydney, just a second, that if you are a subject of an audit, it's just important that you get to know as well, irrespective of how the connections have been made. Because you see, before a report has your name, that goes, especially if you are politically exposed, somehow you should be notified. And so I understand that bit as well, but it shouldn't take away from the substance of the issue, that GetFund is being pillaged and plundered.
Yes, and that is why I want to keep the focus. It's never been about the persons involved. There's been about the absence of structure, perhaps. Sydney, go on.
This is where I think we have to look at the critical elements involved in this. The Auditor General's audit is about the use of public funds
Yes.
by the GetFund, which has the mandate to do what it did, but should have been administered by the Scholarship Secretariat.
Yes.
All that the audit report is really saying is that you did not follow
Lay down
procedure. And therefore, I am surcharging the individuals who broke the rules.
Yeah.
That the list of names should include politically exposed persons is neither here nor there.
I agree with you.
It's neither here nor there.
I agree with you.
If the government is alarmed by what has been, exposed, then government can expand
the scope.
The scope, and say clearly and categorically to the Auditor General, I would like you to take this report and cover all aspects of scholarship funding that we have, irrespective of who has been given the mandate to expand it. Then that becomes a different issue altogether.
And it's an avenue for reform, with at least.
Yes.
If something untoward is found.
And we all know, we have to go with the grapevine, as we know it most times, because that's also part of the democratic procedure, that scholarships have been abused, scholarship funding has been abused for a long time. Okay? You can go back as far as you want. When, as you call it, cocoa scholarships were set up, it has always been a matter of favoritism, which has brought us where we are. Because there's nobody really in this country can tell me that Matthew Poku Prempeh, our current education minister, was at one time poor and needy, so much so that he needed a scholarship. He has a privileged background, and he could have afforded to go to Harvard if he wanted to on his own steam. I'm sure he could have done it if he wanted. But an opportunity opened up and it was exploited. And I'm sure he's not the first person.
Yes.
If you go into the GNPC scholarship fund, you'll be amazed at the names that you will see there. Somebody sent me a nice, a clandestine list, which I took a look at. And I just sat there and I was laughing at some of the persons who were
suddenly brilliant and needy.
Oh yes, absolutely. People who I knew, had bigger cars than I did. But it happens. And if we want to stop it, then of course you need to engage somebody like the Auditor General to go and do a thorough investigation and get it done. It's the same way that we did the cocoa roads, which we investigated, and we've been able to rationalize.
Adenta benefited.
Absolutely. All right. So, all that is available. But question is, do we really? Yes, and I suppose we do. We have to fix all these bleeding holes as we go forward in order to make funding available to the absolutely critical areas that we need in order to make it work.
And it must be added, Sydney, that if you read the report, it does look like there have been improvements in the process of GetFund since last year.
Yes.
Awarding of scholarships. They seem to have set up some kind of proper process.
Yeah.
As to whether it is still fair or not, we don't know. But at least some of the loopholes that the Auditor General had, saw for 6 years, as at last year, did not exist, and that also is included in the report.
And I think the fundamental and simple principle is that GetFund, if it wishes to support scholarship secretariats,
Pass the money.
just needs to pass the money through. The scholarship secretariat is set up to do all these means testing and be able to assess needy but brilliant. So we shouldn't have any issues if we follow the rules and the law as has been laid down. So, yes, there needs to be some change, and yes, hopefully there has been some change. But we have to make it very, very clear that in doing what they did in terms of procedure and getting the report out and sending the a copy to PAC, etc., I don't think that anybody can fault the Auditor General in what it did. And I am absolutely certain that he has given everybody involved in this an opportunity to challenge his report Because as part of his powers of disallowances and surcharges, we also, when we filed the case of the Supreme Court, which, and I mean Occupy Ghana, we also made sure that any individual who was surcharged by the Auditor General has the right to go to court legally. It was put in an act. We drafted the act. We took it to Parliament for approval. We got it done, and we lodged it in the court. So it is part of the statutes of this country.
Oh.
So you have a right. Oh, you didn't know that?
No, just...
We had to draft it because it didn't exist.
That's
the
true.
CI 102.
Yes, it didn't exist, and we had to create it in order to give any individual person the opportunity to go back and challenge the Auditor General's report. So they can go to court, and in this case, GetFund can go to court if they feel that they have not been treated fairly. As to the particular individuals who are on the list, if the Auditor General decides that he would disallow the benefits that they got and surcharge them, they also have a right to go to court. Okay, so that rule is now, it has been tested a couple of times. It is becoming, a well established. It is sacrosanct to the Auditor General's right to do its work. So, for me, the principle of good governance is now firmly entrenching in what we need to do. Okay, you have the right to disagree with the Auditor General.
But it does look like, Sydney, sometimes the disagreement becomes personal. And I don't know, perhaps if it's also in the reportage, it seems to focus, the Auditor General is an office, it's not a human being, is it? But it does seem to be a lot like, oh, the Auditor General does not like me, and it is Dom Level who doesn't like me. Sort of debates. Unfortunately, a lot of the responses this week initially, until, for instance, a lot of if you look at the PEPs who responded, for instance, a lot of them initially started with, well, the Auditor General does not like me, he's being biased, until he comes out and says, well, I'm only dealing with information from GetFund. If you have an issue, go with your lawyers to GetFund.
GetFund, yeah.
But if I'm just coming, you refer to the CI 102 and also some cases that have come up pursuant to disallowance. I think there are quite a large number of those cases in which the court has disagreed with the procedure adopted by the Auditor General. And it's important that that is highlighted so that
it's not an institution in perfection.
There would be two, no, but as the court, like Sylvester Mason's case and about 4 other cases, in all these cases, the court disagreed. So I'm saying that if we incorporate these decisions of the court in the processes, and the right to be heard is at the heart of it, if we incorporate it, then it wouldn't, because the more these cases come and there are disagreements with the procedure, it weakens the Auditor General's, not the powers, but maybe the capability or the ability to do it. So that is why the right to be heard in this case may not only be to what it is, GetFund, because the decisions that the Auditor General gives is a judgment, and it is only subject to appeal. It is not even a mere decision by an administrative officer, and that is why the Auditor General, and not the person, I'm saying the office of the Auditor General, must also deal with these matters as if a court is doing, especially where they will disallow and surcharge. But otherwise,
but you see, the Auditor General does not prosecute when he has created his report, and if he decides to surcharge, he creates a report which he sends to the Attorney General.
No,
is the Attorney?
No,
it's the AG. This. I'll hear you. But this is the procedure that he put in place. Right. All right. Because when we sat down to craft the law, we sat down together with the Attorney General, the Auditor General, Occupy Ghana, and 1 or 2 other individuals well versed in had experience with the public auditing in the country. And you see, what will happen now, as time goes on, and as more and more people challenge the Auditor General, it gives the Auditor General exposure and enough experience to be able to now improve its own internal reports.
No doubt at all.
Okay, so as much as it might weaken the Auditor General, the way a story is slanted, it also gives him a chance to reflect on what he did wrong, if he did. If he's taking a case to court, this is not the first time you are citing the Sylvester Mensah issue at the NHIA, I think.
So,
But the more he has these challenges, the better the organization gets. Because now he's guarded and he can go back and refer to some of these things as we go forward.
Yes, of course, yes. So, just a second. You see, the Attorney General comes in after the expiry of the 6 months given to the person surcharge.
Yes.
But I'm saying that in between time, as you rightly said, those persons who are surcharged have the right to go to court within the 6 months stipulated period and to challenge. And I'm saying that it is important that in also discussing this, attention is drawn to the reasons that these cases, on which these cases were founded, and in respect of which the courts have disagreed, and these people who were surcharged have not only been granted cause, but some are even insisting on interest. So that if at the initial stage these rules, principles have been taken into consideration, one, the persons may not have been surcharged, or if they had been surcharged, the report would have focused on these procedures, right to be heard and so on, conclusively, so that there will be very little room for these decisions to be set aside. But I agree with you that as they come up, and it's also important that people are also taking the matter to where it should be.
If there develops a common theme,
yes,
all right, a common procedural theme that the Auditor General is doing wrong. For example, I think earlier on you were talking about a management letter that has to be given to an organization or institution who will then reply. All right. Now, if he is losing cases based on the fact that he's not
going off and there's no he.
Well, when I say he, I'm talking about
the office. Yes.
I'm talking about the office
because of the caution.
No, when we say he, she,
or they,
or whoever, then we have a theme that can be, or we have a pattern that can be explored and then addressed.
That's right.
However, you see, in all instances, the onus is on the person who is found culpable. In this case, the GetFund. All right, the onus is on them to disprove what the Auditor General has said. The onus is on them. It's not on the Auditor General to prove his point. He has written his report. He's saying, this is what I found.
And that will be the response to the management. Well, the management letter comes.
Yeah, the management letter
comes.
The management letter comes, and it comes in detail.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Now, in this case, don't forget that what we are reading, what the Auditor General has released, is not the management letter.
It's not. No. Yeah.
This is his final findings. His management letter has already gone to GetFund, and he has told them that this is what I found when I came to do the audit. GetFund cannot say that we did not know that there was an audit going on.
Oh, but they invited them in the first place.
Even if they didn't invite them and he came himself, they will know. Because when he gets into an establishment, he can be there for as long as 6 months, 1 year, 2 years.
That's true.
Depending on what he's doing.
Yeah.
So management cannot turn around and say, we didn't know that an audit was going on and we weren't aware of the findings. You will get a letter that tells you what we have found out, and he will ask you to respond to him within 30 days.
Exactly.
And if you don't respond within 30 days, he can take action. All right? He can take action. So the only, look, in all fairness to this thing, the only reason why I would say that we are actually discussing this issue to this degree is because there are politically exposed persons on the list.
But beyond that,
should it not have been an issue simply because we set up a system where one man could wake up and say, Sydney, my good friend, here, take $100,000 and go to school.
But beyond that, really, is the point to be made that but for the political names that have come up, I think the whole system needs some auditing and reform. Don't forget, we've had it before. In 1967, the NLC government actually had cause to look into the scholarship scheme, because they were giving scholarships to Ghanaian students to study in the Soviet Union. And when they returned, their skills did not match what was expected. In fact, they failed the Ghanaian exams. And so the NLC government actually caused an audit to be done and suggested that the scholarships program should be reordered to cater for those needs. In 1982, the PNDC government also had cause to audit the process, because they found out that sums that were being transferred to overseas students, Ghanaian students who were studying overseas, they were getting into overruns.
Yes.
Sometimes, if the course was 2 years, it went into 5-6 years.
Same problem identified.
So the point is that even military governments have had cause to audit these processes. We are in a constitutional era, so you would have expected that these things rather wouldn't be seen. But the point I'm making is that whatever we say, however we disagree with the audit and whatever, whose names have come up, it is an avenue for reform. But these reforms were started even under military regimes, because they understood the processes quite well. Yeah. So we haven't actually improved.
And for me, I also hope it's an opportunity to look at some of these amounts, because if you look at some of the amounts, the schools, the programs, the tuition and the living allowances,
and the courses
and PAC, you have a lot of work to do, because some of the amounts simply don't even tally.
No, it doesn't.
Some of the amounts don't even tally.
What does PAC have to do? PAC doesn't have any work to do.
No, I'm saying when they sit down to interrogate this,
all they need to do is to call GetFund.
Yeah, but I think beyond that as well.
Because I honestly,
the revenue for reform, the avenue for reform must now. Because see, I had you guys during the week, some courses that were being mentioned. The courses are run locally.
Yes.
I don't see why people should be paying $30,000 for a Harvard program for 2 weeks when you have an economic policy management program at Lagos.
You see, Parliament are quote-unquote custodians of our funds. They actually distribute this money.
So maybe Parliament should now...
So I think over time you should be proactive, so that it's unthinkable that you've been giving someone money for over 6 years and you have not even called him to account to you, apart from the Auditor General's report.
And the beneficiaries, and the worst part is the beneficiaries don't come back.
Parliament still has a supervisory role over all institutions.
But the only reason why this is happening is because the Scholarship Secretariat is embedded at the Office of Government Machinery.
It doesn't matter.
But that's the point, because it's discretionary. It's discretionary. So they dish out the funds anyhow they want. That's exactly what it should be taken out of there.
Yeah.
Right? And then, because that's the only way you can... The Scholarship Secretariat has no business being under the aegis of the presidency. It should be taken out of that place.
Maybe under the Education Ministry.
Well, Education Ministry, and have people who really know and understand that the impact of whatever is going to be studied would be beneficial to the country.
I agree with you. It should go to the Ministry of Special Initiatives.
Hey, that'd be...
Okay, so on that note, we'll end the conversation on the scholarship, on the whole GetFund and Auditor General's audit. Gentlemen, let me read some messages and then we can move on to coronavirus. Honorable Aban is here, as usual. You give us an update. Okay, so let me just take a couple of messages. Lawyer Pong, you are not very popular this morning
that is fine.
In the message boards.
People must disagree with us, right?
Yes.
I mean, I'm also disagreeing with someone, so why?
Look, Kwame from Butcher says good morning. You see how Lawyer Pong is twisting the issues? Is what he's saying. Nana Kwesi AC from Dansoman says the Auditor General's law allows him to audit to check proper appropriation of funds and corresponding recipients for the specific institution, like GetFund, period. Please, the AG was not auditing the individual beneficiaries, so he can't do that outside of the GetFund accounts provided to him. For verification, in the second phase of the auditing, as well as the auditing, the report states that he will proceed to activate the second phase of surcharging if there is a reason of misappropriation of funds. He will then contact the individuals involved. People are quite abreast with how the Auditor General operates.
I'm impressed.
Yes. Kwesi Reynolds in Aguna Odobing says, the truth is the Auditor General may have received the names of the beneficiaries from GetFund, but what he failed to do was to further audit to authenticate the claims. What he did apparently amounts to a copy and paste exercise, and that is unprofessional. Well, that is actually wrong, Kwesi Reynolds in Aguna Odobing. You are absolutely wrong. Okay, JP says, I am saddened and ashamed. Why should we spend millions of cedis on scholarships overseas? I think we need a total overhaul of both the GetFund and the Scholarship Secretariat. Scholarships outside Ghana must be reduced, and this must relate to areas that are critical to the economy. Invest in local institutions to build capacity and train people locally. What at all do they come to learn here? And most will not return home anyway. Sam from the UK says...
this thing, because if you look at the numbers, 1960 there were 1,400 students, 1981 350 students, 1982 500 students, today 3,000 plus, and the cost per that the government is spending on each student is 100 times more than they are spending on the local tertiary education. You need to rationalize.
Yes. And in the course of the week, Bernard asked an interesting question. American money is spent on American schools. British money is spent on British schools. Why do we spend Ghanaian money on foreign schools when we have a lot of schools here that need money? Okay,
well, the argument itself, somehow there are certain skills that are needed. I mean, there are certain critical skills that you probably want. But you can have, I think the point made is that you can have some of these courses localized and have people come and teach them. Except, of course,
that's the main reason why medical school, for example, was set up.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
So they have
and even the law school.
Yeah.
The law school. Because people were otherwise being sponsored to go to the UK and so on.
In fact, some of the courses, they can learn them on YouTube. Some of the courses can be learned on YouTube.
Competed favorably with the others in the other
some
countries.
Of the courses that we funded can be learned on YouTube.
You see, let's not underestimate.
If you go back a little into history, there was a point in time when we did not have the capacity to be able to teach
some of these things.
Yes. So it was important to send people abroad, outside, to go and do it. I think governments have to now realize that generally you can find the built-in capacity anywhere now.
It's true.
All right, yeah. Maybe not too true. Maybe we don't have any space aviation expertise as much as we would like to. Maybe there are certain scientific
people
of course, within these days of technology, you may not really need to even go to Harvard.
Yeah, you can even use a video conference.
But you know what it is to have that name?
The Harvard behind your
name. I must agree though that the Harvard education, executive education is really rich because I'm a beneficiary, but not through GetFund. I got my scholarship through the World Economic Forum.
It's okay.
And it is truly rich.
But
that was private money.
But frankly, you need to ask.
Let me finish the messages.
Please, we'll do the messages. Don't worry. We will sacrifice all our time for messages.
No, let me just.
I've been running around there, but I've not been able to.
We are running the show.
The thing is this. I've forgotten.
Okay, Sam from the UK. Sam from the UK.
You remember?
Okay, hold on. Sam from the UK says, let us not behave like hypocrites. We all know how government officials abuse most scholarships in Ghana, including that of the Cocoa Board and the Commonwealth Scholarship. We need to investigate GetFund because most of the brilliant but needy students never gain access to the funds. All those who benefit unlawfully from the funds must be made to refund the money, and those who are awarded the scholarships must be tried and jailed if found culpable. Kwabna from Suhum wants to know...
Sounds like a military officer.
May we know the person who approved these scholarships? I believe it should be the focus of our discussion. He could have been firm and refused the application of these politicians. A couple more. It says, it is not about the Auditor General hating on anyone. The question lies on whether a crime is being committed. It's a shame if we need prosecutions to correct leaders that are supposed to be serving our purpose. Morality makes the law. Hold on, let me read. Franklin, I'm reading messages. So we need to inculcate in our next generation to be more moral than lawful. If we fail to do that, we are doomed.
We ourselves.
Okay, so Nimose from London says, good morning. For once, I have a reason to feel a sense of pride. Your panelists have demonstrated they can rise above petty politics and champion the cause of social justice. They agree that the GetFund was hijacked and abused. there must be a campaign to get all undeserving beneficiaries to voluntarily pay back a significant portion of the money they got into an independent endowment fund so that the real needy can be supported. This will be a show of remorse, and Ghana will move on. Most of them didn't come back, so we find them. Most of them didn't show up in this country. Let's talk about coronavirus.
Before we talk that, please somebody send a message to Nee, tell him to come home.
But there's a Nee sitting here waiting to join us.
Let's talk about Nipapo Samuado. Will join us shortly, but let me talk about coronavirus. So Nigeria has reported its first case. It has a lot of people worried. And as at Switzerland on Friday became the latest country to announce drastic measures, saying that all events with more than 1,000 participants will be suspended. Now, in Kenya, for instance, they have basically ended all flights to and from China entering the country, and have said that anybody who is entering Kenya from any country that has a reported case of coronavirus will be quarantined for 21 days.
Wow, that is harsh.
Yes. So basically, wherever, if you are coming from any country that has a reported case,
Kenya.
Yes, in Kenya, you will be quarantined for 21 days once you arrive. So, and South Africa also in the course of the week announced the evacuation of all their students from Wuhan.
Oh, so if you are coming from the UK, you'll be quarantined for 21 days.
Yes.
Is there a reported case in the UK?
Yeah, there are about
a few.
22
Yes.
or so.
So because at the moment, you don't know.
Extreme.
It's not extreme. If you listen to the briefing given by the WHO yesterday in upgrading the general level of concern, perhaps they might have a case. But we'll look at what Ghana is doing.
Is that why the NDC is saying that when the president returns, he should be quarantined?
That's another matter, but I don't really want to focus on.
But I agree with them.
I don't really want to focus on that.
He's coming from places.
Gentlemen, let's listen to what Ghanaians have been saying on the matter. And also, a journalist from Nigeria spoke about what has been going on in the country.
Okay.
Now, in the past 3 months, the world has experienced something very unusual, the outbreak of the coronavirus. Now, as of February 28th, that is on Friday, the reported cases stands at about 83,000, and we have about 2,800 confirmed deaths. Now, this makes the whole coronavirus outbreak very scary. But if you are in Ghana and you probably have been feeling very safe because you think that it's very far away, you may have to reconsider that, because just next door, Nigeria has reported the first case of coronavirus. And so right here in Ghana, what are we doing about a possible outbreak of coronavirus? Today on the City Newsroom, we are here on the streets of Accra to find out from Ghanaians their knowledge about coronavirus and how prepared they are to deal with the situation should there be an outbreak. This is the City Newsroom on City TV. My name is Preparedness. Welcome to City Newsroom. Mohammed, what's the coronavirus?
Coronavirus, like time now because school. Your teacher why lecture about coronavirus way.
When was this?
I did say coronavirus pefi utaya unfia ana udem ana se ufie ebetima ba sa virus na ebetima ba na tam so eduana obedinu say every time is hot say time bia is hot your everything your spoon, even like when you go outside and when you buy the food, and to make sure that the spoon is in the water, hot water, before you pick it, because that thing I don't know empe adia air cold. Intimenta di ejuane cold. Yeah.
Now, pesa ubenya coronavirus now. What are the preventive measures? And I know, okay, what are preventive measures? No, but obinya coronavirus, what are the symptoms? Signs by now, who say when your coronavirus?
I mean, say coronavirus, no, unya. The first thing, ebema ufe. The second thing, ubeko toilet. Ebema urani. Na ufe so. Na unsa adiana. Ese uran to hospital. No mun check you.
Right, so we've been talking to people about the coronavirus. Let me find out from this auntie. Mpacha, what's the coronavirus?
Coronavirus, you know. Nyamiti ase wo Ghana ha. Ghana mai Gama shipon nyumoye. E wana kahela enye babi eneda. E ka wo hiafo e wo ifa e bie wo kana kahela ba. Wo beshika no ka ba cha na kahela. E wo nyumohani na kahela ba manemi. Wo mo ayare ne ba o mo krom no. Wo mo wi akpotoro dodo. Enti na ahonhobonefo no wo ma tu sa yare ne ma wo mo. Ba Ghana asase na Nyankopon asase. Enti sa yare no, sa yare ne dia emba hada. Me na me ka cho me nyanya me kwato me bia. Ba me ginya me de say sa coronia debe no emba ha.
Right, so let me find out from these women what they also make of the coronavirus. Auntie Ajubi, but what yare bi abese friend corona
matipa na yale ndi ehu. Na me say we say o mani ebi sigana na ebi sigana adia. Enyafo ye ni sika no ye do so pa. Ese be ya adwen. Edi ye say we say o ma bi ebi ma o ma bi ma ase.
Na yare no wo si eyehu, e de na ma na yehu.
Na yale eye wo na wuwe de yale papa say ehu.
Na unim ebia yare no say bowa e better na wahu say wanya yare ni bi.
Mati say bowa na ama huni mu free so ni ade. Enti na hospital doctor so beti me prove say wanya bi. Me mom de me nya hu bi da
Because e bi ma Ghana. Na what sense e kwan kwa befa so a obeya onema unya yare ni bi.
Te si e de na meye. Me so exactly anu ma metna mi ni di. Minim kwanya mefa so me ya ebi ma. Enti Ghana benefon dey say close border otutu border me say dey obi free outside and fire le ni bi mele.
All right, Mayor, yeah, that's it.
It's me that one.
All right. Now, it appears that the announcement of the coronavirus in Nigeria has indeed heightened the fears of the disease, especially for those of us here in Ghana, because now we feel it's quite close to us. But talking about Nigeria, what is the situation there like? Well, let's find out from a colleague journalist in Nigeria to paint a picture of how the whole country is receiving the news of the coronavirus.
The situation in the country has been relatively calm. The government has tried.
So those were the thoughts of Ghanaians on the coronavirus, and generally people have been quite concerned. When it was very far away, people, but now Nigeria, everybody's like, oh, it's very close. And yesterday, the World Health Organization did an update, but strangely enough, when you go on their website, their Twitter handle, that document has been removed.
What document is that?
This was yesterday's general briefing where the Director General, Dr. Theodros, he has a really long name, let me just try and pronounce it.
Gabriel Jesus.
Yes, Gabriel Jesus spoke about the change in assessment levels to global concern. But that statement seems to have been removed from
But it's on
the
their
website. No, it's been removed. I just checked. When you click
Maybe
on it.
they're
So maybe they are updating it.
Okay, let's hope so. But it is no. All I'm saying is that document is no longer available. But the Ghana Health Service have also been giving updates on the matter as to what Ghana is doing. And this was as of 25th February 2020. But Honorable Aban, is this the most current? Today is 29th.
Today is 29th. Yes, this is the current situation that we have.
This is what we have. So I can read from this.
Oh, yes. It's an official document.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, because maybe there's a daily update. So I'm just hoping what I'm reading is the most current version.
Obviously, there are daily checks here and there, but I don't think as far as documents are concerned.
So basically, this is the update on Ghana's preparedness as at 25th February 2020. And the government of Ghana, just a few highlights. Using the World Health Organization's country readiness checklist, Ghana has assessed its capacity to respond to any suspected or confirmed case of COVID-19 and has developed a plan to address identified gaps in respect to preparedness, response, and control activities. The government of Ghana has committed 2.8 million Ghana cedis as initial amount to support Ghana's preparedness. Various activities are being undertaken to strengthen systems along the thematic areas. So surveillance, coordination, laboratory, points of entry, case management, social mobilization, and risk communication, logistics, and finance. So they also say they have the capacity to test in country. So Noguchi can test, as can the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research. Ghana is classified among 13 priority 1 countries in Africa region for being at risk based on flights and passenger volumes. They also talk about coordination in terms of the preparedness, and there have been stakeholder engagements between the Ministry of Health and several hospitals. They've also engaged the World Health Organization. They are seeing that alerts have been sent to all regions to update their respective preparedness plan and activate their respective public health emergency management committees. National coordination committees have met twice. The points of entry is, I guess, where the main issues lie. Screening of passengers on arrival has started. They're using the thermal scans. But,
yes, sir.
People enter Ghana from all kinds of places. It's not just the airports, right?
Yes.
Do you have thermal scanners at Ilubo, Aflao, and all the other places?
Routes, yes. But
so we have thermal scanners there at Ilubo and Aflao today, as we speak.
Oh, please. Let me get your question well. Let me get my facts right.
Okay.
Good. Because I know that the approved routes,
14 of them.
Yes, the 14 approved routes, we have that everywhere.
Okay.
What I cannot speak to is the fact that, we have many unapproved routes that people crisscross. I mean, especially the areas where we have proper border towns.
Yeah.
One side of town is Togo, one side of town is Ghana, or one side of town is Ivory Coast, one side of town is those places. I cannot tell, but the approved routes, yes.
But you didn't hear what the woman who was interviewed, what she said.
What did she say?
The evil spirit.
Ghana is God's country. We are ordained. We are
we heard
protected.
that, but we'll still be prepared.
And if anybody dares to try to bring coronavirus in, they will be struck down. Amen. So don't worry.
The pastors
Okay, so fine. And then let me also ask, we do know that yesterday, because of what is happening in Italy, Italy has become sort of like the epicenter for Europe.
In Japan too.
And our consular services have been suspended there. Have we changed how we are handling flights coming from Italy? Because what I do know is that initially we were looking at people from we were looking at people from Wuhan.
Yes.
That was the only people we were looking at putting in quarantine. Now, how are we?
But even there, we're not putting anybody in quarantine unless you
came from Wuhan,
and unless your system your condition fits
the profile of the disease.
That is, it had manifested as you had arrived.
Yes.
But isn't
why are we not?
Isn't the issue though?
Because the thing is that when you get it,
let me hear him.
The thing is that when you get it, there are many other things that occur, but it appears to me that issue of temperature is always constant. Okay. That is, anybody who has got it will have abnormal temperature.
That is if it has manifested. Or as soon as it happens,
and
the
what
temperature level
what is
go up.
abnormal temperature so that the public will know?
Above the normal 37 degrees Celsius, right? So when you enter, and here let me take this opportunity to educate Ghanaians, because there are people who are saying that you only fill a form and you cross, nothing happens. Please, those monitors there, they are actually
the thermal. Sure.
Yes. But people are looking at the old colonial days where they have to put a thermometer here for you to see that, my temperature is normal.
Has been checked, yeah.
So when they go there and say, just stand there, they look at it, the thing gets your signals, and then they're able to check your temperature, and they say cross. They don't think that anything has happened. So people are complaining, we went through the airport, nothing happened. Today's Saturday.
Call them
so
back
Thursday.
and detain them.
Thursday I came from India. I used the not the VIP, but the normal route for everybody. Right? You go there, every single person, whether you are infant, whether you have to be at a certain point, they will take your temperature, and that's why when you fill the form, even your seat number is required. Because if they find you, immediately it's likely they will look for the person who was sitting next to you.
Okay.
And check so that both of you probably maybe may be taken to the holding room. So when they have found out that your temperature is above the normal 37, they will take you to the holding room. It may not necessarily be coronavirus.
COVID-19.
It could be influenza or something like that. Yeah. Then they will this time round come with the one that looks like a gun. Okay, that's also a thermometer.
I've seen that one. Yeah.
Good. So they will use that. But even that one, they will give you some 30, 40 minutes to relax, right? For them to check. If it is normal, fine. If it is not normal, then it is only then that they will quarantine you, take your sample for Noguchi and all that, and see whether it is corona or some other influenza or something like that.
Okay.
So these protocols are followed strictly.
Yes.
But the impression is out there, especially those who go there, they fill the form, either they are lying or whether they are telling the truth. They do not know that when they pass in front of that monitor, it is their temperature that is being taken. They do not know. So they go out there to say that,
But what do you say? What do you say to those who say, like, simply, why take the risk if somebody is coming from, say, Italy now, because of what is happening, quarantine the person, irrespective?
Irrespective.
Yes.
You see, my brother here is a lawyer. The gentleman there is also a lawyer. You see, if you just go quarantining people without any basis, they will sue you big time.
People have been quarantined all over the place. This is an emergency situation.
The Constitution makes an exception.
That is why, good. The Constitution makes an exception. I agree. But the thing is that is why you must have a basis. I have already told you that you must have a basis. The only basis is that the person is coming from.
Yes. You are coming from a country where there's the second highest death rate.
Yes.
You have the deadliest disease in the world.
I don't think anybody can sue you.
Yes, but quarantine.
Anybody who comes from Italy must be quarantined.
Why not?
I think it's extreme.
I think it's extreme though. But to suggest that if you quarantine anyone against his so-called will or her will, the person will sue you.
I said you must have a basis.
Public emergency, so
the law
they can never
for that.
sue
But
you.
What about the
law is the basis?
But hold on, I'm also interested in.
But I should be interested to know which
of
route the Honourable Minister took before getting back to Ghana.
So that I don't touch you. I'm touching you.
As I'm sitting here right now.
If you've been to Norway, for example, probably you should also be.
But he couldn't have gone to Norway before coming to Ghana.
I know the sarcasm in his statement.
But Honourable Abad, there are those who've also raised questions. You know, if we do have a reported case, and per the statement that the World Health Organization is trying to hide now, they are saying that it is very likely their concerns are on a global.
They are not hiding.
Global.
There is not a statement that has to be. It was live briefing. It was very clear they've moved the document. Are we prepared to deal with this? You say you have rich designated. You have Tema General. Like I was telling you, Tema General doesn't even have running water. They buy water if you've been there before. Are we ready to deal with this? You can sit on the big issue and guarantee Ghanaians that the Ghana Health Service, the Ministry of Health,
we are ready.
Is ready to deal with this matter head on.
Yeah. But if Tema General doesn't have running water, but they are buying water, so what?
I have not said it's a problem.
We are.
No, but you are using it as some kind of argument.
For it?
No, I'm not.
2.5 million.
That is what has been expended. Okay. The budget as we have it is 35 million.
Ghana cedis or dollars?
Ghana cedis. But what you have to know is that this is actually for a contingency.
Yes. It will not be expended if it doesn't
exactly. Come. And so when, especially the opposition makes the case that,
I don't want us to do
you have brought only
opposition and this thing with this.
It's not opposition. The thing has wiped out billions of dollars on stock exchanges. So
yes, that's what I'm saying, that we must look at this as a contingency. So you spend as and when it happens.
Yeah, it's good.
It's not as though we are not prepared.
It's better than putting the money.
Yes, it's better than saying that, okay, they have brought 35, so take it. Before you realize the money is spent, and then no case happens in Ghana. You say, we use it. Then the money would have...
I'm trying to query you on all the things that you have here just to make sure
Right.
things are happening.
That's fine.
You say radio and television discussions and engagements on the outbreak and Ghana's
That's what we are
preparedness
doing now.
has been started.
Then we need to get per diem.
Indeed.
Is it happening?
Indeed, here, I think it's low. Because we should.
But it shouldn't be low by now.
No, we should be seeing, playing some jingles and all that.
Yes.
Actually telling
I
people
understand.
to wash hands, not to touch.
Yes.
Those
So
things.
those kind of education, I
Greeting with
think, I
legs.
admit that
education.
those ones, are,
Gentlemen, please.
it's not as robust as it should be. Right?
Are you going to improve that?
Of course. And that's why I'm talking about it. Because I had a discussion with the Auditor General of Ghana Health Service yesterday.
Yeah.
Right? So I asked him about all these things. Right? So very soon,
So
you see
designate
that-
like CTFM, pay them money, so these programs
This-
can be running.
Yes. And then you see, even for the entry point,
Yes.
he quickly had to do some new postings so that we can beef up the numbers there, which was done just yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Right? So it's not as though nothing is happening. But because the thing is a contingency, you would not see the plans until a case comes up. So, for instance, the PPEs that have been bought, right?
Please don't be technical. What are PPEs?
Personnel
Protection
equipment. Okay.
What are
so
they? Are
they are
special
that
uniforms?
specialized uniform that they use.
mask.
They would only put it on, for instance, when they are going for samples. Okay. So you will not go and see anybody.
This the people this Sasabun sound.
Yes, if you would like to call it Sasabun attack.
And you also say,
But the Ministry of Information should start doing this.
That's what I'm
It
saying.
shouldn't necessarily
But
be
you
the
see, it's
Ministry of
good.
Health.
Whatever we are doing
Adopt
here.
CTFM, man.
They shouldn't just be organizing press conferences.
Gentlemen.
They shouldn't be organizing press conferences telling us about government achievement. This is their duty.
This is their duty.
They should just get information from the health ministry and start telling everybody what
We
should be done.
quarantine
They
the
should,
president.
That's what should be done.
I agree with you. Probably we should have some.
They shouldn't wait for budget.
We should
There
do
is
some
too much.
adverts.
There's too
Okay.
much mischief. There's too
And I'm
much
sure,
mischief.
and I'm
what
sure
the
a
people
lot of radio stations would even be ready to assist in the propagation.
Okay.
Probably at some half.
We
cost or
can do
something like that.
social media own charge.
Right.
All right.
Yes. So I to that extent, I agree with you.
Okay, hold on. I'll take a quick break. We'll continue the conversation of the coronavirus. I have the Honorable Alexander Aban. I'm trying to.
You have decided to put me in
Yes.
the witness box.
Yes, you are in the witness box because you are the Deputy Health Minister. To try and give us some answers on what Ghana's preparedness and strategy is for the coronavirus. We would rather be prepared than hope on the divine in
Exactly.
this one.
Yes.
So the big issue will be right back.
Let's do both.
Welcome back. And discussing the coronavirus now and Ghana's preparedness to deal with it, I've been asking the Deputy Health Minister, Honorable Alexander Ban, Member of Parliament for Gomoa West constituency, some questions. He's answered them. I'll be taking comments from my guests, but let me just read the updates that came yesterday from the Ghana Health Service. It was a pretty short one, and it says for immediate release, the Ministry of Health, Ghana Health Service, has received news of the confirmation of the first case of coronavirus disease, COVID-19, in Nigeria, a sub-regional neighbor, on 27 February 2020. We wish to take the opportunity to reassure Ghanaians that we will continue to intensify our preparedness activities and heighten surveillance at all points of entry to ensure that all citizens are safe and secured. Meanwhile, we entreat the general public to stick to the following precautionary measures. So this is for you. This is a public service announcement. 1. Regularly wash your hands with soap and running water, or if possible, use hand sanitizers regularly. Practice common cough, sneezing etiquette, such as covering of mouth with handkerchief or tissue paper when coughing or sneezing. If you have recently arrived from any of the countries that have reported a case, we advise you to stay away from crowd, self-quarantine for at least 14 days. You see, that's why I was asking you, why don't you then quarantine these people? Because we do know self-quarantine is going to be a hard task. So why don't you do the quarantine then? Now the Ghana Health Service is saying, 3, if you have recently arrived from any of the countries that have reported a case, we advise you to stay away from crowds for at least 14 days. Why don't you keep them away from crowds yourself?
Okay.
So as soon as they arrive at
the airport.
We have not discussed this, but I'm just off the cuff. I'm just asking you, do you know the implications of all those things?
You don't have money. That's.
Do you know the financial and all other implications? Because
you can
take it that everybody who comes is
from an affected country.
And now the affected countries have become many. So anybody who comes from Norway.
But we don't have that much traffic from Norway.
Okay, so let us even say that we don't have much traffic. Now Nigeria.
Norway.
Nigeria every hour.
Nigeria every hour. And then we are talking about UK. And you know, I think BA comes here almost daily basis, right?
Almost every day.
And for each flight that comes, do you know the number of people in there?
Okay, so
look at it.
I understand you. So
you can put us all. You can put all those people in the Kempinski.
Sydney.
And here's when you're doing the quarantine, doesn't mean that you should also bunch them together.
For 2.5 million.
That in itself also.
That in itself. Look at the ship. That cruise ship.
The Diamond Princess.
You see, it rather created a problem than solving one.
But it's an isolated problem.
But
if you isolate the problem, then if anything should happen at all.
Well, let me just finish the announcement. It says, in cases of persistent cough or fever, contact the call center for assistance on these lines: 055-222-22004, 055-222-22005, 050-949-7700, 055-8439-868. Do not visit any health center facility on your own if you have just returned from any of the affected countries and you're exhibiting symptoms like fever, cough, and difficulty in breathing. Call the numbers above for assistance. We will also entreat citizens to temporarily avoid non-essential visits to affected countries in order to streamline communication and to avoid, so they go on to list who you should talk to. But that is basically the most important information, 1 to 6, what I have read. Signed by Dr. Patrick Kuma Abuaje, Director General, Ghana Health Service. So, Dibako, let me start with you.
Do you have hand sanitizers here?
On this one, yes.
There's some in the toilet.
But
let's see how
it goes to the toilet.
I think it's important the fact that we go back to some of the things we were doing when this Ebola broke out. We should see it as a national emergency.
Thank you.
And it is actually a national emergency because at the rate at which the infections are going and the spread, if we are not careful, probably by the end of the month, if there's no break in,
God forbid,
there's no vaccine or any breakthrough in technology, we all must be taking extra, steps to protect ourselves. I think it's gotten so serious in some countries that schools are being closed.
Japan is closing all schools on Monday.
And we need to pray. I think that this is the time where our leaders, both all religions, God has protected us from the Ebola.
What is this?
And no, I think we need to pray. There's a spiritual side to this.
You think these countries don't pray?
Well, they pray, yes, but
they don't pray in Italy.
No, but God is merciful.
The Vatican.
That's the thing. God is merciful.
Gentlemen, let's see.
God is merciful, and I think that aside all the practical steps,
are we going to encourage this line of conversation?
All the practical steps that we can take.
It's a position that I
think that prayer is also important.
Anyway, in the Bible, the bubonic plagues and the rest.
And despite your attempts at preventing me from saying what I want to say, I'll still say it. That we need to pray.
I think that
there's
a biblical justification. I think the Egyptians.
Franklin,
what happened?
Today you are being very, very,
what
very,
very. The Egyptians.
The Egyptian
but
locals.
On the practical things that we need to do.
Let my people go.
On the practical things that we need to do. I think the health ministry should come out with some serious education on what we have to do.
And the kind of prayer we should be giving.
And we should start at all the places of mass gathering. For example, churches, schools, our mosque, places of work, and the media too should be given material that is correct. We do not want just
to make things up ourselves.
And then we should take advantage of social media as well. put out as much information as we can.
Nipa, why are you suggesting that we should close the churches and mosques down?
I'm not saying we should close them. I said we should start the education from those places of mass gathering. So that, for example, on Sundays, the local reps of the ministries of district, the district
they can be given 2 or 3 minutes.
Exactly, to tell people what to do and how to help to prevent this. But I think the most basic thing is let's keep clean, right? Wash our hands when we eat as often as possible, and God will take care of the rest, because I think that perhaps one of the things.
This is a man who has become a Christian all of a sudden.
One of the things that just shortly. One of the things that one of the things that we should not lose sight of is it can have a very devastating effect on our economic life. Life as a social life, because the government, if it becomes that serious, the government may be forced to take actions such as restricting our movements and all those things, and it can be very disruptive. So let's all try and do something within our small space
around the corner.
Yeah, to make sure that we are able to.
All right, thank you, Nick.
Oh yes. First of all, I think we are unfortunately not highlighting the cause. We are rather looking
the cost or
the
the cost.
The cost. CAU.
Yeah, but the cause. What caused it?
Yes, what caused it?
How will that solve the problem?
Do you know?
No, but I mean, if you don't know how something came about, the source of it, how can you solve it? So I'm saying that, of course, I'm reading from the WHO website. So there's a document. It says transmission in Wuhan.
Wuhan. Yes.
Wuhan.
You go on.
Early cases identified in Wuhan are believed to have acquired infection from a zoonotic source. That is zoonotic source. Yes, I mean related to
from animals.
Source. As many reported visiting or working in the Wuhan wholesale seafood market. As of 25 February, an animal source has not yet been identified. So like Ebola just came. People said because we got infected or people got infected by bats, we should stop eating ingremunam, bushmeat, and so on. It just came and went away. So I'm saying that if we don't also look at the source, how can we be able to resolve it? Because all of a sudden, have we become so cleaner that Ebola cannot infest us? Are we saying that the whole of the continent or the world, Ghana is the cleanest, and that's why we're not infested by Ebola? These are very critical questions we need to look at.
Actually, you have a very valid point, to the extent that the WHO has also suggested, the DG has suggested that the virus has taken a life of its own, because some of the
it's evolving.
It's evolving basically. So it's very important that the sources also explained, and maybe if these sources are found locally. But the bottom line is that we need to be clean.
Yes, of course. So, but I'm saying that yes, we've always tried to be. I don't think, with all due respect, this is the cleanest country, but the so-called most clean countries or cleanest countries have already contracted it. So until we also find the source, we will be afflicted again, even if it goes. I mean, as we sit here, I don't think that eating of bushmeat, my favorite,
I think that's what worries you.
Has really been confirmed to be the cause of Ebola. Why are people not contracting Ebola anymore? So
not yet. That is incorrect. There's a significant Ebola outbreak
but I'm
in Central Africa.
In Ghana. I'm not sure anybody is bushmeat more than we do, or maybe in terms of yes. But we didn't contract it. Let us find out what causes these kinds of diseases, which you only get it when you breathe the air.
There's a very difficult analytical question here. Japan is known to be one of the cleanest societies in the world.
Yes.
All right? Even if you go back, if you remember, to the World Cup, was it the World Cup or whatever it is, where they were known to clean their own bedrooms and clean the whole toilets and everything before they even left. And they've been praised consistently for their cleanliness. And it's not only just their team; it's a general theme in Japan that they're a clean society. So also is Singapore. So also is South Korea. Those are clean societies, and compared to Ghana, what we are doing here, will be a contaminant if you take it to any of those countries.
So that just merely telling us wash your hands, be clean, they are important. But let us know what actually causes it. And again, I think that
the world is
in terms of,
it.
I think that generally it has also exposed our fallibility as humans. It has exposed us to the extent of now being convinced that we don't even know it all. Because
but if you read the Bible, these things have happened over and over again. Plagues that were sent.
Well, but I'm saying that
those ones were spiritual.
I'm saying that maybe when you tie it up to the need for prayers, it only informs us that we just, even with these days, with all the technology that by which people can predict things, even the UK and Europe are now trying to fashion out appropriate mechanism drugs. They are now testing drugs. They said they never anticipated this kind of thing.
Do you know that there's another story out there, all right, that this is a human-made, laboratory-developed.
Well, we've seen that conspiracy, but I'll prefer to go with
insinuating.
I'll prefer to go, gentlemen. You see, on this table, I'll prefer to go with scientific, with what has been proven and what the World Health Organization is going. Yeah, I don't really want to. Nobody here is a medical professional.
Yeah.
I prefer not to indulge in that kind of conversation.
What is apparent though is that those countries that
we have expertise in conspiracy.
I think what we should be interested in is preparedness in order to contain the spread, because all those countries that have reported them, at least they've been open and reported them. And that is very critical.
I think the steps they are taking.
Yeah, it's very critical. Even China has managed to, be
so you know how they've handled their presidents and others who have traveled and come back.
Everybody is equal. I mean, but the point for me, the point.
No, it's like quarantine people, who travel and come back.
Why are you so interested in quarantining the president?
Of course, I mean, Article 14 really gives power for a person who has contracted an infectious.
Exactly, or suspected to.
Contracted an infectious disease.
Yes.
Maybe quarantined. Or his benefit, his liberty, maybe curtailed.
Yes.
For a period.
So
but the law, but it goes on to say, in accordance with law,
so somebody could bring an action.
So,
but the person must be proven to have
near suspicion.
So having traveled to countries where there are suspected
cases. Let's be serious about this. For me, I think the big lesson, maybe not, if not moral, but the big lesson really is that we must also agree that we may not be able to predict some of these things. We should not also discount prayers. I mean, in addition to all the practical, in addition to taking precautions, we should also not discount prayers for prevention of it even being infected or infecting any one person. As Ebola also came around all of us here and never entered Ghana. You cannot say that we don't live in a world where
but the not entering Ghana is as a result of some level of preparedness.
Oh, you can't say that. You can't say that we were most prepared of all people. The countries that we affected were the most prepared.
But there's also the scientific point to be made.
Before that, let me just do something.
Looking at science, let's look at religion. It's important.
I found a bit of what I was looking for before I go to Franklin and Sydney. Gentlemen, so let me just focus on this. The United Nations Secretary General has... Please. The United Nations Secretary General has spoken on this matter based on yesterday's update from the World Health Organization. So I'm going to read just that story. This on from the UN News. Coronavirus COVID-19 risk increased to very high, but containment still possible.
In Ghana. Generally.
Now, countries basically says that the development comes as the World Health Organization's Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus welcomed data showing that in the past 24 hours, China had recorded its lowest number of cases in more than a month. That is 329. More than 36,000 people have also recovered from COVID-19 in China alone. So there are some positives. This is according to the World Health Organization. More than 36,000 people.
36,000?
Yes, have recovered. Now, speaking to the international press on Friday, UN Chief Antonio Guterres called on all governments to step up and do everything possible to contain the disease without stigmatization and respecting human rights, and appealed for solidarity and full global support. The rest of the world has continued to show an uptick in infections. However, with 4,351 cases confirmed in 49 countries and 67 deaths as of 6 a.m. in Geneva. Now, Tedros said that although the increase in the number of cases and affected countries in recent days was concerning, there was no evidence of the virus spreading freely in communities. And this was part of his briefing yesterday. He says that he tweeted that what we see at the moment are linked epidemics of COVID-19 in several countries, but most cases can still be traced to known contacts or clusters of cases. We do not see evidence as yet that the virus is spreading freely in communities. As long as that is the case, we still have a chance of containing this virus. Now, it goes on to say that he added that 24 cases of infection had been exported from Italy to 14 countries, and 97 cases had found their way from Iran to 11 countries. Quote, the continued increase in the number of cases and the number of affected countries over the last few days are clearly of concern. Our epidemiologists have been monitoring these developments continuously, and we have now increased our assessment of the risk of spread and the risk of impact to very high at global level. Then goes on to say that in Nigeria, where the first case of the infection has been confirmed and isolated, the UN agency said it had great confidence the country could contain the virus. This was thanks to the fact that the country has had success in dealing with disease outbreaks such as Lassa fever and measles, and it had invested significantly to do so. Currently, more than 20 vaccines are in development around the world, along with several therapeutic medicines. The first results were expected within weeks. Now, then basically going to talk about what everybody has been saying. Personal responsibility is critical in terms of sanitation and what's not. So, it says, it gives another example of, it says it's time to prepare, it's time to get ready, it's time to act, which is what Lawyer Aban has been saying we've been doing. Now, echoing the need for aggressive action, such as that implemented by China, the World Health Organization's Dr. Maria Van Kerkhove noted that other countries which had followed its lead have seen similar successes in containing the virus, resulting in valuable breathing space for their health systems. In Singapore, you look at what has happened in terms of the cases they have had. They are now seeing a rapid decline in cases. You see what happened in Nepal. There was an onward transmission there. You see what's happened in Vietnam, where there were some cases and now there are no further cases. These are all examples of where countries have been successful in containing this. So this is what you find on the coronavirus as coming from the UN and its Secretary General. Franklin, let me hear from you.
I think this is very.
So the UN is not advocating prayer.
They are being very proactive. Don't forget the previous times they've been accused of, lethargy, and that they came to the table quite late. In fact, they've been accused in other near pandemic situations of not raising the alarm well enough, even like the case of Ebola. So this is a WHO that is being quite proactive this time around. What I think, wouldn't it be interesting if the cure for this came from Africa? How much do African countries spend on research and development?
Yeah, Samens was asking this question this week.
We've been doing, I remember my days of writing about patents and intellectual property rights and all of that. And I don't think the figures have moved. It's less than 2% that we invest in research and, Development. No, we are not doing it. So it would have been interesting that our traditional medical sources should be given some boost, because you never know. It may even lie there, right? But this is a wake-up call to Africa. that rather than issue quick alerts and all of that and be championing them, you should be interested in investing in capabilities. Spend significant amounts of your money into R&D, so that we would also say, at least for once, we saved the world. So that we shouldn't be at the receiving end. That's we want to wait until it could as well
enrich big pharmaceutical
companies. And they are doing a lot already on the continent, but the big pharma, which also means that when big pharma is asking for certain prices, you so-called poor countries should not be telling them that their medicines are too expensive, because it costs money to invest in this. And you countries must invest in R&D.
That's true.
And I should be happy if Noguchi should break the news that they've actually found a cure. I'll be the most happiest African.
Well, it looks like you might get some good news, because on the Ebola scene, for instance, I think there are 5 countries that have put forth a cure, and I think Noguchi is one of those institutions. Yes, that's one of the 5 countries that has an effective
research is going on there.
vaccine on. Sydney, let me hear from you on this, and then we talk Galamsey.
I am totally confused.
Galamsey again.
Sydney told me that he wanted the president to be quarantined.
I do want the president to be quarantined, and I think Nana can impose a self-quarantine.
14 days.
Yes, because he can stay at home.
Breaking news.
He can stay at home. He can be protected and guarded with his staff. Business of government can still carry on. And by the time 21 days is over, he would have got sufficient enough sleep and rest. And he would have come up with better new programs for the country, so we can move on. So I think there's a win-win. I think there's a win-win here.
Unanimous view.
Yeah, and the NDC will be happy.
View from where?
The NDC will be happy, and for a change, they will.
But where has he been to?
Norway.
He's been to Norway.
Switzerland.
He went to the North Pole
as well.
He went to the North Pole.
But Norway,
you see the big headline.
There's an outbreak out there.
Outbreak.
Yeah, and if necessary, he can then postpone the elections in December for another 4 years under emergency conditions, and we carry on.
It's a unanimous point.
You buy that one?
The unanimous point that the president must be quarantined.
Yeah, the NDC would like
beyond
that.
The quarantine,
I want us to focus.
Beyond the quarantine, we can just postpone the elections just to make sure everything is fine. Look, I think that the analysis is confusing.
From who?
From the WHO,
okay,
and everything that is being done. If the source of all of this is from zoonotic or zoonotic or whatever it is they are calling it, the virus is already out.
Yeah.
Whatever it is already out, wherever it came from, whether it be lab designed, coming from snakes, coming from
rats,
whatever it is they are eating in China, it is out. Okay? For some reason and somehow, when the Ebola virus was raging, full infection was raging a few years back, Sierra Leone was one of the most devastated. DR Congo in a few places. I think Nigeria also had some cases, but they were able to contain it very quickly and eliminated it as we went forward. Ghana was therefore sitting in the middle, if you want to, of a raging Ebola thing. Nigeria to our west and our north, Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast
did a lot, though. One of the reasons,
in order to protect themselves. And I don't recall anything happening in Togo or Benin.
Yeah.
Okay, but
they are brothers. We pray for them.
So at the end of the day, there has to be, for me, a scientific reason. All right, a practical reason why Ghana was not exposed so much to the Ebola virus, and whether we actually did the right things, the protection was done correctly, and the isolation was done properly in order for us to remain Ebola free.
Okay.
If that is the case, it tells me that we do have the wherewithal, scientifically and medically, to be able to protect ourselves from any such thing.
I think we allowed ourselves to be used as a center, the UN.
Yes.
So it also helped.
And it helped. But I don't recall that we actually did any vaccinations against Ebola in the country. Okay? So this prayer thing, right? This prayer thing, and I'm actually I'm looking
but that isn't official. That is opinion.
Yeah, but it's a
official statement says it is, we are doing ABC.
It is an opinion poll.
Let's stick to that.
It is an opinion poll here, all right? That generally lawyers seem to be biased towards prayer. Yeah. Of the panelists that we have here, we have two lawyers here, including our deputy minister. Including our deputy minister, who think that prayer is the answer.
They are just scared.
No, we say in addition
to quarantine the president, for example,
we should pray.
Yes.
No, there's no need.
You pray in your homes alone, or you pray at gatherings.
Gentlemen, I want us to make progress.
You pray in your homes, or you pray at gatherings.
Then why don't we just simply turn Obinim's church into a quarantine center? If we turn Obinim's church into a quarantine center, then everybody who is identified will go there and you'll be clean.
We should actually organize
exorcisms. I guess then I'll move on.
Then when it breaks, what happens? We organize exorcism.
Okay, so let me take messages.
Don't underestimate what I'm saying.
I will and move on.
The majority of the people out there,
I will and I'll move on.
They believe sincerely that prayer will isolate us and prevent it.
Yes, and it did.
Yes. So don't let you and me who are privileged and educated.
You think those who believe in this are not privileged and educated?
Okay, so let me take some messages. Why is the government of Ghana allowing... Okay, this message is a bit difficult, but the question is an interesting one. The message is difficult. Okay, so why is the government of Ghana allowing people to come from China? A person who is not showing the symptoms of the virus has supposedly infected 5 members of his family. If the tables are turned, do you think Chinese government will allow Ghanaians to visit China? From Destiny Tanoso, the government must, as a matter of urgency, put in place stringent measures to protect the public. And Monlote Donu is asking, where is the NCCE? We only hear of them during elections. Junior from ACP Estate says, Godfrey, you know what? We can only pray against the COVID-19 because the minister said we cannot quarantine people from Italy. And yet he says we are prepared. Are we really safe? Well, that is the conclusion that he has drawn on the matter. So you can also send your message 0549986996, 0549986996. I'll enter the final phase of the big issue today with a conversation on the withdrawal of the military component of Operation Vanguard starting from the first day of March, and that is according to City News.
They didn't disband the whole thing.
Sources. We'll listen to this one quickly, and then we'll begin the conversation. Okay, so basically, what is going to happen is that, from what we've been told, so far over 1,000 small scale miners have been vetted and cleared to mine under environmentally friendly laws. So to continue effective monitoring, mining guards who have been trained by the Ghana Police Service and drone pilots who will be deployed to monitor approved mining areas and the miners. Now, we all know the Operation Vanguard and where it started from. And the government has been saying that it's done the training program. 4,000 people went through ABCD. But it looks like, Sydney, I'm going to start again from you on this. The government says its decision is that let's pull out the military component. We don't know why. Hopefully, once it is confirmed, we will get an official reason to this. But does it make sense to you going forward?
It absolutely does. The government's decision has to be based on whether it has an alternative solution to monitoring and guarding these sites, or the persons in Operation Vanguard who are running Operation Vanguard and getting involved have compromised themselves and therefore have lost that ability to be able to do the proper thing. Look, I said it last week and the week before and the week before. This Galamsey thing, you cannot stop it.
No.
You can't stop it. There's gold in the ground. All right? And frankly, you need to ask yourself, what is wrong with digging the ground if you can find something that will give you wealth?
Yes.
What is wrong with it?
That's my theory.
What is wrong with the whole thing is the contamination of the water bodies.
Exactly.
That is where the whole thing is wrong. So let us
And
put
perhaps also the
measures in
destruction of
place.
farms.
Yes, and the destruction of farms. Okay, but even the destruction of farms, you can dig up a farm, you can pull a cocoa tree down today. Tomorrow you plant a replacement cocoa tree, it will grow.
But they are not planting.
Yes, but that's the idea. Then you have to make sure that you plant.
But
all
you
right?
destroy the topsoil
You can
in the process.
You can destroy the topsoil, but trees don't grow in topsoil. Trees grow down deep in the soil. All right? So the topsoil, unless it is contaminated and the plants do not take a hold, you have a problem. If somebody is growing, say, maybe tomatoes, which uses topsoil or requires topsoil, then you have an issue. All right? We have to sit down and think through the proper way to do it and come up with some innovative ways in order to be able to get this thing moving. What we are trying to do, banning galamsey, all right, and saying stop galamsey completely, it's like banning prostitution. You cannot do it. See, you can't do it. People have a need for sex. They will find it whichever way you do it. People have a need to have a girlfriend or not. They will find a way to satisfy their urges. Even the prostitutes themselves will find a way to carry on the trade because it is an absolutely essential part of their life. So you cannot do it, and you've got to take the sensible approach to making this thing work.
Cannabis.
Okay? I don't want to go there because there are some people who have been accusing me of smoking weed.
No, let's stay on track.
And I don't smoke weed.
It's a pain reliever, actually.
Can you confirm?
Let's stay on galamsey, gentlemen.
He does it to us all the time.
You are baiting me. You are baiting me.
Stay on galamsey.
So for me,
good for us.
For me, the galamsey problem, I think it just needs some good, clear thinking, positive thinking, with an attempt to give people an opportunity to carry on their lives and be independent.
But you think the deployment of these mining guards will work?
Are they replacing
I don't.
drones?
No, mining guards. They are saying
But where are the drones?
the drone pilots are coming from the NAPCO system,
Jehovah.
and the mining guards are being trained by the police.
Can I have my bite?
I think this is it's a
Oh.
brain dead. I think it's a brain dead solution. It's a brain dead solution. It will die before it is even born. It is still born. This is a waste of time. It is not the answer to the problem.
But we've had the drones. We bought them $3 million.
The very people who are going to man the drones, they'll be looking at where the gold is coming from. The next thing you know, they are investing in gold. Look, I'm sorry, but I think that I think that we have not sat down to critically decide, okay, how we want to resolve this problem. And I'm saying the focus has to be on guaranteeing the cleanliness of the water bodies.
Yeah.
That's where the focus has to be. As to how somebody digs the ground and gets there, give them the rules and regulations. If you dig it and you don't find any gold, or you dig up as much gold as you want, leave the place in the condition in which you saw it.
But
That's
will
all.
people do that? People will think it's just too much work.
But it is. Then the penalty you pay if you are caught is that you go to jail.
Yeah.
And then ask yourself whether going to jail is not enough work. Okay? So I really think that we need a small group of people to think clearly. We are not the first country to have this menace. South Africa has gone through it. Australia has gone through it. A lot of other countries who have gold in abundance have gone through it. And they have found solutions.
Okay.
So what is so difficult about it? Look, it's not like as if there's gold in Adenta.
No.
There could be.
All right? Well, go and try. Go and buy an excavator and go and see if you can dig up some gold in Adenta. But there are places where we know are gold-rich areas. So concentrate on those areas and let's get the whole thing sorted out once and for all. You know? I think that any government that can solve this problem to the extent that it satisfies the majority of the people who are involved in the business of gold mining, will win the election.
Right.
You see, the first point that we must come to is the fact that the president had a good intention when he came out with the policy, and that is why he had bipartisan support. That we recognize that, look, if we continue at the rate we were going to deplete our forests, we're going to deplete our water resources, and we're going to leave the next generation with nothing. So there was a broad, good faith-based support for his call and his own, promise that he was going to put his presidency on the line because his vision was not about what he was going to get as a politician, but taking a policy stand for the benefit of a future generation. What has happened is that persons he had put in charge of this particular activity have failed him. And they failed him so miserably that the president now has very little cover when it comes to, or very little goodwill to be able to convince anyone that whatever he is now proposing could be taken seriously. Because you see, he enjoyed the goodwill when he made the policy initiative. Now, what has happened? The revelations, the fact that indeed the persons that had been put in charge were actually the ones who were benefiting from this illegality. It is a shame. It is a real shame. If anything is going to be taken seriously as a governmental initiative in dealing with the issue of Galamsey, it must come from a body other than what we already have now. Immediately, this interministerial committee must be dissolved because it is a complete sham. It has done nothing for the credibility of the president. Every day it's in existence, the president's image and credibility in respect of the fight against illegal mining goes down the drain. There's nothing that the president and any of his ministers involved in this particular fight can say that anyone will listen to, because the evidence is on the ground. There's enough, at least prima facie evidence, that ministers who were in charge of this particular fight have interest in the mining. Companies have been named. And there have been no denials.
Well, there have been significant
Oh, please.
denials.
I mean, come on. What denial? These companies exist. And the information out there shows that these particular allegations have some credibility to it. Anas did a story in which the persons who were at the front end of this fight, the secretariat itself, was a hub of corruption. 7 military officers have written petitions. So where are we? If we are not going to do, if you are going to deprive the person who is mining illegally, yes, from benefiting and claiming that what he is doing is wrong, and you come in and you do worse, then allow them to mine. Allow them to mine. The solution, I believe, is for us to have perhaps cooperatives. The training program that was begun so that we would do this thing in a responsible manner.
4,000 people trained.
Yes. If we are going to do them, let's put perhaps some cooperatives, or let's ask the giant mining companies to supervise them. Let them, yes, I mean, they are doing what we call responsible. No, but colleagues, this is, why can't they do it? We are the regulators. We are the regulators. We are the ones that are in charge of our resource. We can demand that when you come in as a mining company to come and mine, make sure that you give some of your expertise in helping small-scale miners to do lawful, legal mining in a manner that is not detrimental to our environment. Okay. Why can't we do that?
Wrap up for me.
It is not impossible.
I think you're saying something very, very sensible. Honestly,
it's not impossible.
And that is local content.
That is local content. What is impossible?
I didn't expect Nick Papo to go down this route because when he started the president.
No, I'm just saying
I had an idea where he was going.
I have even restrained myself from saying that the president has failed. I believe that the persons he put in charge have failed him.
But Ikpaku, can you disclose?
Okay.
Are you into galamsey or not? Are you into small scale mining?
Are you a small scale miner? Let's hear
I
it.
think the consensus is building generally to the point where we are saying that irrespective of the entity that is mining, whether small scale, big scale, it is the
Or
fact
political scale.
of
No political skill, as we don't have.
Well, the political skill
Because
is
party
the one
is
that
big.
is
Party
the-
is a party
they are the
is
ones
car.
engineering the gaps and then benefiting from
Yes.
it. However, the skill, the issue is we do not want the externalities associated with mining. We don't want it. The damage to our environment and river bodies and what have you. We just don't want it. So the suggestion that those who do lawful legal mining and do it technologically sound as well should be encouraged to pass on the knowledge. It's not as if that is in short supply, because I know companies in that part of the business chain that are willing. In fact, they've demonstrated severally. I've seen Goldfield's reports which show clearly that they were willing to do that, even though for business secrecy purposes, they probably won't share everything.
Yeah.
But it is in the works, and we should exploit those options. But let's not kid ourselves. And to go back to Sydney's point, that there's a significant resource that has been found. To the extent that that resource, when found, claims to belong to the state, and the state itself is not interested in ensuring that people who have licenses get them lawfully to do them, you still have people go behind and do the so-called illegal aspects of it. So decentralize your mining certification process. The Minerals Commission should be the only one to be certifying, have a decentralized
Not
body.
political parties.
Not political parties, not the IMC. See, this IMC business is what has led to all these shenanigans that we are talking about. The fact of the matter is that you outlaw, a very productive enterprise, and then you expect that the state and its apparatus, of course, and all its power, would be able to safeguard it. What were they safeguarding it for? For somebody to come and do proper mining later? When the processes for engaging in proper mining, even however so-called small scale itself, it's short-changed because you need the regulatory processes are prohibitive. So it's not helpful. So change that. The other day we spoke about, that's why I'm amazed that we are bringing the topic back again. Because I think last week
Well, the topic is because of the withdrawal of the military component. When we spoke last week,
the fact of the
there was
matter
no
is that the
news like
military
that.
components, unless they've been compromised, otherwise they were a safer bet.
Oh, they've been compromised. They've been compromised.
Which is the reason why we are saying that then the entire thing should be disbanded.
Let me have something to.
It should be disbanded immediately.
About the decentralization aspects.
Yes.
The law already provides for it.
Yes, so activate it. That's the point I'm making.
Refer to the small scale
Hold on,
mining
but did you know
committees.
you need about 14 steps to get a license?
Well,
Actually, 15 steps.
No,
But now with the political
procedure
parties
for
involved,
small scale,
you don't even need-
it's not
You know,
that
the political
complex.
parties
It's not as
themselves are
complex
not.
as that for the big ones. But just on this point, we have establishment of district offices of the land of the Minerals Commission. We
Yes.
have them, and it's while we have the district, the members.
Yeah.
It's also listed here.
Exactly.
And then we have small scale mining committees.
Yeah.
In addition to the district lands minerals committee. So in actual fact, I don't think we need any other. And when you take the small scale mining committee, you have the district chief executive or his representative, the district officer appointed under section 19(0) and 19 subsection 2. We have that section 90 subsection 2. One person nominated by the relevant district assembly, one person nominated by the relevant traditional council, an officer of the inspectorate division of the Minerals Commission, and an officer from the Environmental Protection Agency.
So
we
you are
have-
seeing the states all over the place,
All
which is
over-
useful.
Yes.
Because in the absence of that, I would have said, and as Sydney says every time, the gold belongs to me if it's found on
Yes.
my land.
Yes.
But here we are, we don't want a situation where everybody is just going on and on about the destroying the environment. So these bodies are supposed to do the certification.
So I don't think we really need.
We never needed the IMC.
No.
Under the NDC, we had an IMC. Is it IMC?
IMSIM.
IMSIM.
Yes.
All right.
You see,
But it was better than the political parties.
They arrested about 4,000.
Gentlemen,
They arrested about 4,000 foreigners, and they just made them leave the country.
Yes.
People,
But it is better than
and then they also
NPPB,
arrested
the
excavators
mining
and all
company.
of that. But I admit that, you see, because it's a lucrative enterprise for the state actors, that's why the state actors themselves have taken over the trade. And that's what you do to everything that you ban. As Sydney has suggested in the examples.
Okay,
I'll
so,
add weed as well.
So let me look at
Alright,
the establishment of district offices.
Yeah, now end with Honorable
Before
Abba.
you go on, since you've been interrupting me
Sorry. No, go ahead.
all today, maybe this is one thing that we should leave to the traditional authorities.
Yeah.
I agree.
Maybe, because it's their land.
Yeah, and everybody knows everyone.
Everybody knows
They can't do
everyone.
anything.
And
They'll destroy it all.
No,
They
they will
do
destroy
it.
it. They'll be more particular.
You see, in practice,
they'll be more particular about making sure
Practice, the
that their
chiefs
land
don't
is
actually
protected.
even allow people with licenses to commence until you
Absolutely.
go through the procedure. Because
Yes.
even with the so-called big mining companies, one of the means by which, one of the processes is to ensure that there is a communication on the license.
Yes.
And it includes even
Exactly.
meeting the gong.
Yeah.
It's in the act. So the procedure that is customarily known to the area.
Yeah.
And the chiefs who are, we have surface right owners.
Yes.
That is those who own the land itself. What
For
they
you to farm
own
and
by
all
law is the minerals,
The minerals contained
in the
in
land.
the land.
And that there has been an issue as to whether it is the government that should pay compensation or the mineral right holder.
Yeah.
And in this case, there has been consistently the mineral rights holder
Yeah, I
who
mean,
negotiates
agreed.
with the owner of the surface rights holder, and then they will come into agreement. And when it fails, then there's a procedure to the minerals
And that's
commission,
lawful
or
and
even
it's civil.
to court.
It's a civilized
so when we are
arrangement.
talking about illegal mining, two skills: one, non-compliance with the law. So for small scale, it is only for citizens of Ghana who are 18 years of age.
Yeah.
Anybody who doesn't qualify, who doesn't come, I mean, these are to a citizen of Ghana, has attained the age of 18 years and is registered by the office of the commission in the area designated under the section. So their license is not even issued by the Lands Commission in Accra.
Yeah.
It has to be the area where
The district.
the district, as I have I also observed.
But
No
in
political
practice,
parties.
this is not disregarded because you
Yeah,
can
that
as
is
well
why
have the
then it
license.
becomes an illegal mining concession or process. And so then the second part
when it's the
is non-compliance
Yes.
with environmental law requirements. So you may have acquired the license legally, but then you may have violated the environmental law procedures which are also contained in the Act. You see,
Okay.
so that is how you look at it. But then one of the things that we can also advocate, and part of the Acts have made that provision, insurance and guarantees.
Yeah.
As for distraction, once you are taking the surface of the
deposit.
soil to go deep in the land to collect these minerals, there will be some reasonable distraction
By all means.
to the environment and to the earth. So what other countries have done is, as part of the requirement to obtain the license, you have to establish a bank guarantee or a bond from a reputable accredited institution.
But is that workable with
They are not
the
doing
kind
that.
of farm miners we are looking at
Well,
the
we
community
look-
level?
That's what I'm saying.
But that's
that
why
we look
they
at-
should- when
we
they
look
organize,
at-
they
no,
should do
we
it.
look at the
They
size,
should do it.
the
You
size
can
of
do
the
it.
concession.
There's microinsurance.
It's the same as in construction, road construction, performance guarantee, and so on. We look at the amount involved or the estimated amount, and we give you the bond. So they don't really have to be responsible for reclamation.
Reclamation things.
So we have portion of it for tree planting and restoring the surface. So you can finish and go, and we use part of that money, whether as insurance or so,
restore.
to get people to restore.
Okay.
Because as for as for damage, they will be caused to the earth.
Right. But we must want political parties for participating.
This is what they are human beings. So if they are citizens of Ghana, you'll be violating the act if they are citizens and they are 18 years. So the main point is, let us rather highlight these things.
The things that exist.
Yes, the insurance and the bond may go a long way to solve this problem.
Right, thank you.
You must not let ruling parties involved in
like we're saying, at the end of the day, what we are trying to solve with all of this is protect the water bodies and protect the environment.
Yes.
Okay. That's what we're
I have one
trying
message that I'll read. Perhaps we'll also inform Honorable Aban your take on this before we wrap up today's edition of The Big Issue. Good morning. This is from Nicholas. Galamsey can be stopped if the political will is there. I was at Enchi on Friday, and at 1 a.m., there was a police vehicle escorting an excavator to a site. What is difficult about policing our water bodies? There cannot be Galamsey without water. Once the access to the water bodies are blocked, they are finished. That is his suggestion. Police the water bodies better, and perhaps the Galamsey might reduce.
Then again, sorry.
Thank you very much. I do not want to maybe talk too much about the Galamsey thing, and in all this, one thing that comes clear is that in Ghana, it appears when you give anybody the duty to monitor the activity of another person, that person goes there, he does his own checks and balances and realizes that, oh, this thing is off, I think it will be good. Then they also join in the fray.
They get sucked in.
Okay, it's terrible. To the extent that you go anywhere, anybody who has some table to sit on to even move paper to the next level is looking at how much he will even get out of it. And so now, who monitors the monitor?
The monitor.
Who watches the watchman?
The superior monitor.
In fact, that's what pains me. That's what has kept me
the superior monitor.
Because, you see, we all know the devastating effect of this rampant mining. Yes, of course, once the resource is there and we know it will give us some wealth, the edge is there to go and get it, right? Let us manage it well. But it's a slap on our faces if duty bearers like us are sent. Look, for the purpose of protecting the water, put XYZ in place so that only ABC can do the mining. And when they do, it must be done under these conditions, right? And you go and completely throw your patriotism out and say, hey, this is a place that I can also make something. So let's do it. But like this text that this person gave.
But it's human nature. Then that's the part that we need to always realize, as Sydney has suggested, is human nature. The moment you ban something which is lucrative, and you think that the people you have appointed will automatically become saints overnight to police it, it's a misnomer.
Completely.
So the best way to deal with it is what the laws are saying. These things exist already.
They're there. They're legal.
So this IMC, IMSING, INSEP, ASEP.
Because regardless of all these,
you have just a minute.
That we still have all these things going on. That's why probably in the minds of the president, let us bring another committee to see if they can help.
He should have actually disbanded.
All right. Let me just take. Let me go to Twitter.
But the party should stop Galamsey operations.
Let me just take a couple of messages. Gentlemen, it's okay.
Make it party. It's terrible. No, gentlemen, I'm emotional about this not because of NPP, but because I'm a Ghanaian. Something like that.
Okay. So, Eurison Stephen tweets and says, "How did we get a name if we don't know the source of the virus? It just created." That is, a conspiracy theory that is running around there. I appreciate the work of the Ministry of Health in updating us on the precautionary measures to prevent contracting the disease.
Thank you.
But more needs to be done.
At least somebody has commented that. Thank you.
We've commented.
Calm down. Let me finish.
Also, the
NYA tweeting on that _Mau_ says, all schools must start educating their pupils and students from next week. We are always slow in doing these things. And Nanaya Anochi is very upset. He says, what is this man talking about? And I think that is Sydney. He should not say anything to provoke God. And then we are ready. Okay. So that is on that note, we will end this episode of The Big Issue. Thank you to Sydney Kisley, Hayford, Honorable Alexander, Member of Parliament for Goma West Constituency.
Why we take over the show from you?
Yes.
No, I don't like
Next week we don't want you.
Yes.
You can't take over my show. Ask the Speaker of Parliament.
Why don't we sit here and be talking?
Ask the Speaker of Parliament.
Mr. Producer, please think about it. You only come in when we invite you.
Listen to me. As the Speaker of Parliament said, you are guests in my house. On that note, we will end.
Mr. Speaker,
we will end this episode of The Big Issue. Have a good weekend.